In today's video, we will explain the game of chess, from understanding the pieces, moves, rules, and basic strategies to start winning games. By the end of this video, you'll know how to play chess with confidence. So grab a board if you have one nearby, and let's dive in. Step 1. The chessboard and setup. Let's start with the chessboard, the foundation of the game. A chessboard is an 8x8 grid made up of 64 alternating light and dark squares. Each side of the board has files and ranks. Files, the columns labeled from A to H, running vertically from white's left to right. Ranks, the rows, labeled from 1 to 8, starting from white's side. To orient your board correctly, always make sure that the bottom right corner square is a light square. Now, let's set up the board. Each side has 16 pieces. Pawns, place 8 pawns on the second rank for white and the 7th rank for black. Rooks, place the rooks, or the castle pieces, on the corners of the back rank. Knights, place the knights, the horse-shaped pieces, next to each rook. Bishops, place the bishops next to the knights. King and queen, place the queen on her color, white on white, black on black, with the king next to her. This setup gives each player 8 pawns, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, 1 queen, and 1 king. Step 2. How each piece moves. With the board set up, let's explore the movement of each piece. I'll break down each one by value, movement, and unique abilities. The pawn is the simplest and lowest valued piece, worth 1 point. Movement. Pawns move forward only, 1 square at a time. On their first move, pawns can move 2 squares forward. Capturing. Unlike their movement, pawns capture diagonally, moving 1 square forward and diagonally to capture an opponent's piece. Promotion. If a pawn reaches the last rank, opposite end of the board, it can promote to a queen, rook, bishop, or knight. Most players promote to a queen because it's the most powerful piece. En passant. A unique rule where if an opponent's pawn moves 2 squares forward from its starting position, landing beside your pawn, you have the option to capture it in passing on the next move. The knight is a unique piece worth 3 points. Movement. The knight moves in an L shape, 2 squares in one direction and 1 square perpendicular, or vice versa. Jumping. The knight can jump over other pieces, making it the only piece that doesn't require a clear path to its destination. It's valuable in crowded positions for this reason. The bishop, also worth 3 points, is a powerful long-range piece. Movement. Bishops move diagonally any number of squares, but must stay on the same color they started on. Each player has 1 light square bishop and 1 dark square bishop. Long-range attacks. Bishops can exert pressure on long diagonals and are best used in open positions. The rook is valued at 5 points. Movement. Rooks move horizontally or vertically any number of squares. This gives them great power and control over files and ranks. Coordination. Rooks work well together on open files, and they are most effective when connected or supporting each other. The queen is the most powerful piece, worth 9 points. Movement. The queen combines the movement of the rook and the bishop, moving any number of squares horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Attacking. Queens can control vast areas of the board, making them ideal for both offense and defense. They're invaluable in the endgame. The king is the most important piece, though technically it has no point value. Losing the king means losing the game. Movement. The king moves 1 square in any direction, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Castling. The king has a special move called castling, where it moves 2 squares towards a rook, and the rook moves to the square next to the king. Castling is only possible if neither piece is moved, the squares between them are clear, and the king is not in or moving through check. Step 3. Attack, defense, and capturing. Chess is about controlling space and creating threats. Here's how you can think about each piece's attack and defense capabilities. Attacking. Every piece has an eye on specific squares that it can move to or capture on. For example, a queen on d4 attacks all squares in its rank, file, and diagonals. Defending. Pieces can also protect each other. For instance, a rook on the same rank as a king defends it, creating a barrier between the king and any attacking piece. Understanding these interactions helps you make sure your pieces are safe and set up effective attacks. Good chess players keep their pieces coordinated, so they're defending each other while controlling critical areas of the board. Step 4. Checks, checkmates, and stalemates. The goal of chess is to checkmate your opponent's king. Let's talk about checks, checkmates, and stalemates. A check occurs when your opponent attacks your king. When you're in check, you must move out of it immediately. You have 3 options. Move the king to a safe square, block the check, place a piece between the king and the attacking piece. Capture. If possible, capture the attacking piece. Checkmate is when your king is in check and there's no way to escape. Checkmate ends the game immediately. For example, if a queen and rook work together to attack a king in the corner with no escape routes, it's checkmate. Stalemate is a draw that occurs when a player has no legal moves and is not in check. In such cases, the game ends in a draw. Stalemates often happen when one side is overly aggressive with a large material advantage, but accidentally restricts their opponent's king's movement. Step 5. Basic opening principles. Opening principles in chess help you start strong. Here are a few basic ideas to remember. Control the center. Aim to control the central squares, d4, d5, e4, e5, with pawns and pieces. This gives you space to maneuver and attack. Develop pieces. Bring out your knights and bishops early. Developing means getting your pieces out from their starting positions so they're ready for action. Castle early. Castling protects your king and connects your rooks, preparing them for battle. Avoid moving the same piece. Twice. In the opening, try not to move the same piece multiple times unless it's necessary. This helps you develop all your pieces quickly. A classic opening move for white is 1. e4, pushing the king's pawn 2 squares forward, which controls the center and opens lines for the queen and bishop. Black can respond with moves like e5, the Sicilian, c5, or the French, e6. Step 6. Middle game, tactics and strategy. The middle game is where tactics and strategy come into play. Here's a breakdown of the key concepts. Tactics. Tactics are short-term moves that have an immediate impact, like gaining material or achieving checkmate. Common tactics include fork. A single piece attacks 2 or more of your opponent's pieces simultaneously. Pin. A piece cannot move without exposing a more valuable piece behind it to capture. Skewer. Similar to a pin, but here the more valuable piece is in front and must move, exposing a piece behind it. Discovered attack. Moving one piece uncovers an attack by another piece behind it. Strategy. While tactics are concrete, strategy is more about long-term planning. Key strategic ideas include controlling open files and diagonals. Rooks, bishops, and queens thrive on open lines. Outposts, establishing knights on safe central squares where they can't be easily removed. King safety. Keeping your king safe is critical. If you've castled, keep a few pawns around your king. Step 7. Basic endgames for beginners. The endgame occurs when fewer pieces are left on the board, and the focus shifts to promoting pawns and checkmating. Here are some essential endgames to know. King and pawn versus king. Learn how to promote a pawn with the help of your king. King and queen versus king. Practice checkmating with a queen by forcing the opposing king to the edge of the board and using your king to restrict its escape. Ladder checkmate. With 2 rooks or a rook and queen, force the opposing king to the edge by laddering your pieces up the board. Learning these basic endgames is crucial for turning a winning position into a win. Step 8. Study plan for beginners. If you're ready to get better, here's a simple study plan. Play longer games. Play games with a 10 to 15-minute time control to give yourself time to think. Analyze your games. Review each game afterward, focusing on mistakes and missed tactics. Practice puzzles. Chess puzzles help you recognize tactical patterns, which is essential for improving. Study basic openings. Focus on just a couple of openings, like 1 point e4 for white or 1 e5 for black, to get comfortable with opening principles. Learn basic endgames. Practice essential endgames so you can convert an advantage into a win. That's it. This guide should give you a solid foundation in chess. Keep practicing, stay curious, and enjoy the journey. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and leave any questions in the comments. Happy playing, and welcome to the world of chess.